We got all the ants, but now there's... Is that a tardigrade? That's incredible. We have to go see it up close. Take us back to the human realm. Wow, that's a huge tardigrade. I love tardigrades. They are so cool. These troops are a total overkill. I'm sure it just wants to play. We need to scale it down before it gets hurt. And causes more damage, of course. See? The ice cream vendor knows they're perfectly safe. This used to be one of those barricades until the tardigrade stepped on it. There's likely to be a lot more rubble around if you don't find a way to slow it down. Never mind the red light now. Giant tardigrade trumps traffic rules. Normally, this tardigrade would be about 500 microns long, or around the size of a grain of sand. Even though they're so small, they can withstand all sorts of extreme conditions. Stuff that would surely kill you is no problem for them. They really didn't need to bring out the tanks for this. The tardigrade doesn't mean any harm. Thankfully, it looks like they're just waiting for now. They really didn't need to bring out the tanks for this. The tardigrade doesn't mean any harm. Thankfully, it looks like they're just waiting for now. Tardigrades are aquatic creatures. They're often called water bears. Even the ones that live mostly on land have a thin film of water over their bodies. It helps them feel cozy and stay active. We need more clues. This is the perfect opportunity for you to visit the bacteria realm. I love seeing tardigrades in their natural environment, and we might get an idea about how to deal with them. We are inside that puddle now. Water may look empty to you most of the time, but here in the bacteria realm, you can see that there's a whole other world that's full of life. It seems like the shrinkagen leak is still wreaking havoc on the other labs. That's more tidying up for us, but also more shrinkagen for the tardigrade. A grain of rice. A staple food for roughly half the world's population. A grain of rice, a staple food for roughly half the world's population. Nematodes are one of the few animals which can resist dehydration to similar levels as tardigrades. They can also get rid of most of the water in their cells and come back to life just normal. Green algae like this are an important source of oxygen and food for other organisms that live in water. Tardigrades are like little tanks, but when they don't like the environment, they go into an inactive ton state, where they basically put being alive on hold. Getting the big one into its ton state would make it a lot easier to scale down. That's no moon. Wait, no. Yes, it is. These tardigrades are just waking up from ton state at the moment. Lots of things can cause a tardigrade to go into its ton state: heat, cold, dehydration, high pressure, or lack of oxygen. These ones might have been dehydrated until that wave came along. Moss is a great hiding place for tardigrades because it traps water, provides shelter, and it's actually the inspiration for my favorite nickname for them, moss piglets. Moss is also one of their favorite snacks. The ton state is a really special power. When they're like this, tardigrades have been known to survive 6 times the pressure at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, the deepest part of the ocean, and the vacuum of space. This is a single-celled organism called a diatom, sometimes called jewels of the sea. These tiny organisms generate a big chunk of all the oxygen produced on Earth. This is a single-celled organism called a diatom, sometimes called jewels of the sea. These tiny organisms generate a big chunk of all the oxygen produced on Earth. Rotifers are also able to defend themselves against dehydration. When they feel the water is getting scarce, they pull a similar trick to the tardigrades and curl themselves up as the water discharges from their bodies, decreasing their volume greatly. Moss is a great hiding place for tardigrades because it traps water, provides shelter, and it's actually the inspiration for my favorite nickname for them, moss pig. A giant moss to snack on will surely distract our big buddy from those barricades for a while. Too bad we didn't bring a little ranch dressing. This will have to do. If we could get that giant tardigrade to go into its ton state, that should keep it under control for a while. We should go back to the human realm and see how we can calm our tank into a ball. Now then, there are lots of ways to make a tardigrade go into its ton state: high pressure, lack of oxygen, dehydration, heat, cold. If we had a tasty snack, you could use the drone to lure the tardigrade somewhere with one of those things. The claw on the drone is perfect for moving things around. Now, where should we lead the tardigrade? Maybe someplace cold? Come on, take a bite. It's tasty, tasty moss. Oops, but it was a long shot anyway. The cart isn't cold enough to chill the entire tardigrade. We can try drying it off instead. Anything around we can use. A huge hairdryer would be perfect. Or a bonfire. Oh, a coronavirus. Good thing you found that. Don't worry, the lab containers will keep it from spreading. Those bits of wood don't make a very good barricade anymore, but they could make a great fire. The heat would dehydrate the tardigrade, and at this distance, we wouldn't accidentally roast it. Banana flavor. Interesting choice. The easiest way to get the tardigrade into its ton state is probably to cool it down or find a way to dry up its watery coat. A tree? We have fuel for a fire, so technically all we need is a match, but that's boring. There are much cooler ways to create a spark. Let's swing by the molecular realm. Welcome to the molecular realm. Remember that broken barricade? These are its molecules, plus some from the air around it. This is a cooling tower. It cools water by exposing as much of the water's surface to air as possible. Fire needs fuel. Anything with both carbon and hydrogen atoms will burn if you get it hot enough, so these cellulose molecules in the wood should do just fine. You'll need to take the capsule out if you want to analyze things. Oxygen is a key ingredient of fire, but regular oxygen molecules bouncing into things don't cause fires. If they did, we'd be in a lot of trouble. For the oxygen molecules to react with the fuel, we'll need more and stronger collisions. Fire needs fuel. Anything with both carbon and hydrogen atoms will burn if you get it hot enough, so these cellulose molecules in the wood should do just fine. Fire needs fuel. Anything with both carbon and hydrogen atoms will burn if you get it hot enough, so these cellulose molecules in the wood should do just fine. We need these oxygen molecules to speed up. The duck drone has just the perfect gadget. I originally made the drone's flagellum to help duck move around in the smaller realms, but it's also good for stirring up molecules. Press the trigger to make it spin. With enough force, oxygen molecules are able to break down the bonds between molecules in the wood, releasing energy and light. Fire is chemistry and physics in action. These carbon dioxide molecules were formed in this combustion reaction. They'll come in handy when it's time to put the fire out. Why don't you collect some? Oxygen is a key ingredient of fire, but regular oxygen molecules bouncing into carbon dioxide is heavier than oxygen, so large quantities of it can get in between the fire and its fuel, cutting off the combustion reaction. We only have a little right now, but you know how to make that into a lot, right? A few molecule-sized molecules wouldn't be enough to put out a fire, but a few giant molecules will be. Those are waiting for us in the human realm whenever you're ready. What a beautiful roaring fire. So cozy. Agitating those oxygen molecules with the drone started a combustion reaction. In other words, fire. You'll recognize it once we're back in the human realm. Here it is. Bet you wished you had some marshmallows now. See the steam coming off the tardigrade? That's the film of water around its body evaporating. It will go into its ton state shortly and stay there until you can shrink it down and return it to the water. Don't worry, in that state it can survive almost anything. It'll be fine. Scientists don't know everything about how the tardigrade ton state works yet, though tardigrades can use a certain kind of sugar to replace the water in their bodies. and that protects their internal structures. Apparently, the ants didn't mind the cardboard and foam flavor. Fire turns oxygen and fuel into entirely new molecules. That's where this ash comes from. These carbon dioxide molecules were formed in this combustion reaction. They'll come in handy when it's time to put the fire out. Why don't you collect some? The multi-tool is in collecting mode right now. If you want to analyze something new, you'll need to take the capsule out. Scientists don't know everything about how the tardigrade ton state works yet, though tardigrades can use a certain kind of sugar to replace the water in their bodies, and that protects their internal structures. That's a neutrophil, the enthusiastic killers in your bloodstream that live to take out intruding bacteria. If you're ever stuck, check the Lab tab. The Transcript tab records everything I say for your reference. Ah, caffeine. Probably one of humanity's favorite molecules. Strange matter. No, really, that's what it's called. Now we have plenty of shrinkagen for the tardigrade, as soon as we get it calmed down. This light you're seeing is the physical result of the chemical reaction you caused in the molecular realm. Remember it the next time you light up a candle. Scientists don't know everything about how the tardigrade ton state works yet, though tardigrades can use a certain kind of sugar to replace the water in their bodies, and that protects their internal structures. Nitrogen molecules like these make up about 4/5 of Earth's atmosphere. It's not flammable, which is good for life, but makes it less interesting for us right now. When oxygen breaks down the bonds between molecules in the wood, one of the new molecules that forms is water vapor. Forming new molecules like that releases energy in the form of heat, which is why fire feels hot to us. We need these oxygen molecules to speed up. The duck drone has just the perfect gadget. If you want to analyze something, you'll need to remove the capsule from the multi-tool. It's not a Nitrogen molecules like these make up about 4/5 of Earth's atmosphere. It's not flammable, which is good for life, but makes it less interesting for us right now. Scientists don't know everything about how the tardigrade ton state works yet, though tardigrades can use a certain kind of sugar to replace the water in their bodies, and that protects their internal structures. Fire turns oxygen and fuel into entirely new molecules. That's where this ash comes from. Just fly the drone over the fire and pull the trigger to release the CO2. Scientists don't know everything about how the tardigrade ton state works yet, though tardigrades can use a certain kind of sugar to replace the water in their bodies, and that protects their internal structure. Goodbye, little water bear. Well, that was exciting, wasn't it? Now, let's get rid of that giant rubber duck. We don't want it reminding everyone who's caused all this trouble. Head to the mountain realm when you're done here. Time to clean up. Oh, what now? Ugh, it appears something large and slimy is oozing through town. Back to the human realm we go. Ugh, that's a very large protist. And it appears to be eating anything within reach. Well, you know the drill. Scan away.